Welcome to the PopcornTalk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the schmoes know, this is Marvel Movie News, bringing you the most up-to-date discussion and commentary within the Marvel Universe.
Excelsior to you, our merry Marvelites!
Excelsior!
That's a good voice, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to our 17th... What? Alan, get out. Just leave. Wow.
10 seconds in.
10 seconds in, I'm already getting it. Welcome to our 18th show of the year, 31 in all. We are the Marvel Movie News, coming to you live from the Danger Room, where we tell you all the news from all the studios and why you should be as excited as we are. Subscribe to us on iTunes at Marvel Movie News, or find us through the Popcorn Talk Network, YouTube.com/PopcornTalkNetwork. You can also find us on the Popcorn Talk's website. Follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PTN. Find us on Facebook /Marvel News Show. Like us, enjoy us, comment, ask us questions. We do our best to answer you. And by the way, guys, if you'll tweet out a link to our show with a message telling people about the live chat to come and join us, Alexis in the booth will retweet you, won't you, Alexis? She's nodding her head. You can't see it, but we can. I'm Matt Key at the Matt Key.
I'm Meredith Placko at M Placko.
I'm Coy Jandreau at Coy Jandreau.
Alan Kistler at Kistler.
And we are joined by two very special guests today. We've got Master Damion Poitier. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you.
The Mad Titan himself. Former Mad Titan.
Now the OG.
Now the Angry Titan.
The Angry Titan.
Yeah.
The OT Titan.
And we've also got the good Lord Matthew MacCaull. Hello, sir.
Hello. Enchanted. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, are we supposed to shout out our...
Yeah.
I wanted to introduce you guys.
Okay, I didn't know.
And now we go back to you. So
right.
Give me your Twitter. Give me everything that you want to give me.
I'm everywhere.
It's $10.
Damion. Everywhere. Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit. What do you call it?
The internet.
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah,
Are you still on the MySpace?
I'm on the Facebook. I actually am on the MySpace.
No.
I don't ever go on the MySpace. I am. But yeah, everything.
Do you have a band? Do you have a band on the MySpace called the Former Mad Titan? Or?
No, I have a band on the MySpace called The Droids You're Looking For. I'm just kidding.
Nice.
Somebody take that band name and use it, please, because I don't know why.
This is finally the droid we're looking for.
The droid
So
you're looking for should be. We are the droids you're looking for. Come on.
Yeah.
Really awesome. That is fantastic.
Look away.
Yeah, I love it.
Make that happen. Internet.
So you played Thanos in the first movie, correct?
I did,
and that was enjoyable.
It was.
Yeah. Can you talk about that experience at all? Any?
Yeah, I've talked about it a lot, but we can do a little more.
So did Josh contact you because he was like, "Hey, this guy's got the face"?
It was audition, straight through the process, normal way, and Josh was like, "Hey, I know him. Let's use him." You know what I mean? So
that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yep. And then went in makeup. Nobody told me what I was doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're just like, hey, you want to go in for some we can't tell you what it is, but you're going to go do something for Marvel, and you're not going to have any lines. And I'm like, they're like Marvel Avengers, and I'm like, yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
And they're like prosthetics, and I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm walking through the Ironhead Studios, and I'm looking around because whenever you walk into a makeup studio, you always look around. Yeah, you're like, okay, what do you guys got going on? You see what's going on. You're not going to talk about it, but you want to see it so you can know.
Yeah.
And then when your friends say something, you go,
yeah, I know. I already know.
The smile.
So
Actually the smile.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you get through there, so I'm walking through and actually see a sculpt of Thanos, and I'm like, that's so cool. Right? Because I'm thinking I'm Clerk. I'm Clerk. I'm thinking I'm Super Skrull. Because, at that point, we still thought there were Skrulls.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be Clerk. So I'm like, oh, cool, Thanos, right? So I walk in, we're doing they're doing the face cast and everything like that, and casting my arm. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I saw Thanos out there. That was cool. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, wait,
that's you.
Wait, what? No. And then I was like, okay, turn it down. Don't fanboy out.
Don't be too eager.
Don't be that guy.
Keep it together. I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. I know who that is. I can do that character.
And inside, you're
briefly,
like,
as it were. But yeah. So that was.
That's awesome.
But it was all practical effects on the makeup, right?
It was a practical application, but then they CGI bumped it up a little bit.
That's so really awesome. I think that's it held up really well.
And I think that's the best way to do it too.
I love it. I'm such a huge fan of practical
effects. Use all
effects.
the tools in the toolbox.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I thought I was going to be one of you guys when we both did Trek, because I went in thinking I was a Klingon.
Right. No, it was Romulan.
No, but I know. But I went and I looked at those effects, and I was like, gotta be. There's no way they're gonna do anything with Klingon. And then you ended up getting the Romulan, which I thought was I was gonna turn into. And then we were just like this new thing. So yeah, when you go to a studio and you're like, when it's 6 hours in, you're like, maybe I'm this thing.
Right. Like, oh, that's what I look like. Okay.
Okay. Now, Matthew, you are in Tomorrowland.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
What can you? I know
can you
it's
say, right?
Yeah.
it's with Disney.
Yes.
So anything from them.
We can confirm it is a Disney film.
We can confirm it's Disney.
Exactly.
But what can you actually say about? Like, can you tell us about your role in it? Can you tell us anything?
Yeah, no, I can also confirm that I am in it.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Well, it's funny, hearing you guys talk about just like what you are allowed to get when you go in for the audition versus what you don't get. More and more these days, you don't get anything, and you go in there and you get sides that are from a different show, and you don't even know basically what's going on. So you just use your creativity and come up with something, and hopefully they like it.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, like I shot my days on the movie, and then for the longest time, everyone's like, "Oh, you must be so excited! This is going to be so cool." I'm like, if I make the cut, like if it's still in the film, like my character seemed like he was fairly central to the plot, but how they make movies these days is just like, you know what, we don't need that, we're gonna go with this story instead. So but I made the trailer, so I was like, okay, I think I'm in this movie. This is gonna be good.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so just like really awesome. Damon Lindelof, Brad Bird both wrote it. If you're familiar with what they have done in the past, Prometheus, Star Trek 2, I don't know if you guys were in that.
Did you?
Right?
I wasn't in 2.
I was in the darkness. Yeah.
Wait, I was in 1.
Yeah. I thought they were bringing you guys back.
Star Trek reboot fight.
Star Trek fight.
It was Indifference versus Romulan.
Right.
That's really rad.
And so, and so like if you look at basically what they've done before, Damon Lindelof also did Lost. So if you look at what they've done, there's a lot of recurrent themes in this film that I think smart people like yourselves might be able to figure out what's going on with the film before you go and see it.
Well, anything involving the trailer.
Maybe.
Well, something I really appreciate about Disney is how they're branching out. Obviously they've got the Marvel properties where they have a lot of rich history to build on, but then they're trying to do these films that are based on theme park attractions, and I think that's fantastic because as a kid growing up in Florida, Tomorrowland was my jam. I love sci-fi. I love the idea of like the perfect future, and I'm actually really excited because I'm also a Clooney fangirl, so I'll go see anything he does. But I think the more I see from this film, the more the trailers reveal. I'm like, this is going to be a really fun, almost in the way I view Jumanji from my youth. So
nice.
This is actually a heist
John
film.
Favreau did that, right?
It's a heist film.
Yeah, no, he's stealing tomorrow.
Yeah, he's
It gets way existential, like Interstellar, Ocean's 11. We all knew that crossover was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just so natural.
Well, I'd like to point out that one of our fans online, GamerGirl2330, says Tomorrowland is the next movie she's planning on seeing. So
Thank you, GamerGirl2330.
It looks way fun.
it does look really cool, like the trailers.
It's just going to be a huge family adventure, total blast, like literally an action ride.
Awesome.
So it'll be great.
And Brad Bird, I mean, arguably The Incredibles is like the best superhero team movie that's been done. Like it's just so fantastic. It spans so many different ideas and audiences.
So palatable for everyone,
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that along with some of the Marvel films, we seem to be going into like more sort of high-flying, optimistic, idealistic adventures. It's got that sort of Kennedy
flavor.
Yeah, it's got that like Kennedy space era feel to it. And Tomorrowland was just like,
have you noticed every time the economy is really bad, our future always looks super dystopian?
Yeah.
And things start getting better and the future, like, is that a coincidence?
Or that people start realizing, wait, we're supposed to dream again.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if there's like an actual pulse.
I'm gonna write that quote down.
Yeah, we're gonna borrow that.
Wait a second.
Dream again.
We should start to dream again.
Well, is there anything else? You're also on iZombie.
Yeah, I'm doing iZombie.
Yes. Good show.
Which just got picked up for a second season.
Yeah, I just found out this morning from Rahul Kohli's Twitter feed, so stoked for that. I can't say whether I'm in the second season or not. But yeah, really cool show. Again, you were talking about practical effects. They do a lot of really cool practical makeup on the show. I'm good friends with the makeup artist, and they were thinking of going more CG, but she just said, guys, I got this.
That's awesome.
And going in, like, I was sitting in makeup. Not that I was a zombie, but I was sitting in makeup sometimes for like 6-7 hours, but by the end of it, it looks sweet.
That's cool.
And then the shoot day's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay.
I've got 30 minutes to shoot. See you guys tomorrow.
And I've had
They're like,
19
action.
cups of coffee.
Action and cut. You're right.
Thanks. 4 hours for that.
Yeah, that was your shoot, right?
Right? Pretty
Turn
much.
and look at the camera and done. Thank you for coming in, Damian. You,
What?
it's good to have you on the show. It's good to have you on the show. Welcome. Don't destroy us with the Infinity Gauntlet. And we're going to jump into the news. So first of all, to all of you fans at home, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the news, then we're going to do spoilers for Age of Ultron at the very end. So those of you excited to hear us talk about spoilers, you're going to have to wait a little bit because we don't want to ruin the movie for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
I want to hear the spoilers because I'm a writer, and so I always like to watch a movie and go, okay, how would I do this?
Right. I'm
and
so with you.
compare it to what they do. So hearing these spoilers is going to be great.
So you're okay with the spoilers?
Oh yeah, I've already got my hypotheses as to what has happened.
Okay. So running over to Sony and Marvel Studios. Do you guys like the Sony logo that I chose?
Yeah.
That's really
One of our fans made that. I forgot to write down who it is. But yeah, I always like that. Anyway, there's a director's shortlist out for Spider-Man. The directors are Jonathan Levine, who did 50-50 and Warm Bodies, Ted Melfi, who did the Bill Murray classic St. Vincent, Jason Moore, who did Pitch Perfect, John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, who are currently working on the Vacation reboot, and Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite.
That's really telling because it's a lot of humor. I mean,
yeah. So in the same press release or the same news article that came out with this, they said the tone of what they're going for is like a John Hughes-like movie.
Yeah, they want that 80s throwback.
They want that 80s kind of throwback. And
coming-of-age comedy.
Every single year, they're planning on doing at least 3, hopefully 4, and every single year is going to be freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
And you can already hear the soundtrack.
Yeah. What's interesting is that we hired someone that was already good at that. Like 500 Days of Summer, you look at Mark Webb and you're like, we're going to have this movie, and then we didn't get that movie.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's have this short list of other directors that might get that movie.
But
so
not
I think
this
Marvel's
guy.
going to get it right. I think they know what they wanted to
Marvel
get done.
knows what they want, yeah.
So excited.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see who writes it too. Because directing will get the style, but the writing's really where
I really wanted Drew
Absolutely.
I really thought it was going to go to Drew Goddard.
So did I.
And I really thought it would have killed
it. It still might, right? I mean, he's not.
He was Sinister Six. He left so many projects to do Sinister Six, and now it's like, sorry,
never
we
mind.
left the property.
So yeah, I'm not too familiar with the guys. I loved St. Vincent. I thought Napoleon was great. I don't know if I want Spider-Man oh gosh, Osborn, shut up, Harry. Like, I don't know that I want that.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume he's got some range.
Yeah.
The director. But he's not really. He's just the only. Yeah, he's like, this is what I do, and if I'm not doing that,
like, if I get Flash Thompson, like Kip, like.
No, I was just gonna say you do want Kip. Come on,
you
just
gotta
jealous.
You're just jealous of my sweet movie.
I really liked 50-50. I think M. Warm Bodies was great, and it had every potential not to be.
I think
like a
Levine's...
Romeo and Juliet movie with zombies should not on paper be.
Warm Bodies destroyed me with laughter. It was
Well, I didn't see it. Was it good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, we're just saying this crap. Yes, it was good.
Get out of here, Kistler! Get out!
I think that's my vote.
We're being paid right now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool.
Give it a watch. Give it a watch.
All right. Well, I'll have to do that. So, anything else you guys want to talk about directors? You know anything? Nothing? We're good? Moving on? Okay. Fox, X-Men, Apocalypse. First of all, we saw the Summers parents revealed. We've got that picture up there.
They seem normal.
It's people who are parents who look like people that are parents.
Look at 80s period war.
Fascinating.
But they shouldn't be normal.
Well, that's true. One of them should become a space pirate.
It depends on how you're doing it. If they may not be. And are these foster parents? Are they actual parents?
That's the thing.
There's so many different. It's just
And that guy
I think they're just actors, guys. I
think they're actors acting like parents.
Let's talk about the fourth wall.
I honestly, my hope is that they're foster parents, and that when we get another X-Men movie that's in the 90s, we get to see Corsair, full-on Corsair space opera 90s.
That is not a space.
Just messing that whole world up.
That's not the face of a space swashbuckler, okay?
Yeah.
It could be, though. There's things that can be done.
Gerard Butler as
Corsair.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So
no, I would want Paul F. Tompkins.
Get out.
Like, not because he's got the stash and he would just be so ridiculous.
Ray Stevenson as Corsair.
You're just saying that because you're in love with Ray Stevenson.
Yeah,
that's you.
So, are you familiar with the X-Men, the Scott Sykes?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay, so Scott and Alex Summers are their dad. Like the parents died in a plane crash.
So they thought.
Yeah. The mother actually did die, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the dad was abducted by aliens, where he became the space pirate named Corsair, the leader of the Starjammers.
Which is the least interesting pirate name you can have.
Corsair.
It literally means pirate.
Yeah, but he doesn't. But he's in space. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. You're right.
Yeah, and if the name of the group is the Starjammers, who's going to say no? Let's do it.
No, Starjammers is a badass name.
I love Starjammers.
It's that extra level of ridiculousness.
Right.
Hell yeah.
I remember talking about the Starjammers and Corsair, and Matt Cook giving me so much guff for that. He was like, "You like the Starjammers?"
I'm with Cook in this, dude. I think it's the worst thing to happen to the X-Men.
I love the Starjammers.
It's like X-Men adjacent, though.
But
you know what I mean? I mean, it got into X-Men, but it's
adjacent kept getting into it, and then it just
a little bit more. Yeah.
Like the '80s, I felt like it just kept derailing. It's a good.
No, I think you're right.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
It's a really
when
good
when there's too much alien stuff in X-Men, it becomes Star Trek, and Star Trek's great, but it's not X-Men.
But it's not X-Men.
X-Men's supposed to be the underdogs.
I think what they're doing with it just wrapped, but with Guardians and Starjammers and Black Vortex, that was a really good use of them. If you guys have caught any of that, it's really
I missed one of the issues, so I haven't started reading it yet because I'm like,
I'm in the same boat.
I can't figure out which issue I missed. So like, 'cause I haven't organized my comics in forever because work, life, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so which issue did I miss? I would like to know so I can go pick it up, so I can go back and read it, but I can't because I don't know. Anyway.
Secret Wars is going to do that to me for the next 4 months, and I'm so scared. Like Secret Wars just not knowing what's happening because every new title and every old title ending, like it's just going to be like.
In May, May's gonna be crazy.
Someone help me.
And Secret Wars.
What's that?
Secret Wars dropped yesterday.
No, I know. I still haven't picked it up.
I gotta pick it up this afternoon. As soon as this is done, I'm heading. Yeah, we're heading
to the comic
east to get comics. As soon as it's over.
You guys are gonna skip over holding hands and give us our comics.
Exactly.
So that's all that we've got on the X-Men currently. But there's also the Road Cut of Days of Future Past is scheduled to come out on July 14th.
Road Did they piss off Anna Paquin or something? She's like, curse, and she's like, make a road cut. He's like, we'll just make a road cut. We're so sorry.
What guy? She has fans. She was in True Blood. What do we do?
Yeah, what do we do?
We make a road cut specifically for the True Blood
movie
fans.
in the '90s. Fly Away Home with 13-year-old Anna Paquin.
No one remembers
Let's
that.
bring up the piano while we're at it.
Just saying, it's a thing that happened.
But it's
Buffalo
gonna be
Soldiers, just saw that too. She's great in that.
Almost
Really?
Famous.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Almost
Just dropping
Famous.
Anna Paquin IMDb. I'm sure.
Yeah, right? Ba-ba-boom.
but it's gonna be 17 extra minutes also. All like
Sweet.
special effects.
Heck yeah.
It's like an actual director's cut. So that's exciting.
excited.
I'm excited to see that.
Not an actual director's
Before we
cut.
get to X-Men, did you guys see that picture of Ty Sheridan and Lucas Till hanging out?
No.
There's a picture of them. They went to a hockey game, and Lucas has a Till jersey, and he has a Sheridan jersey, and it's like the Summers Bros bro now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
That's really awesome.
I just have to interject real quick. So I did the Mad Max press junket. Nicholas Hoult was there.
Yeah?
And he is such a funny, sweet guy. Like,
Yeah?
he was so endearing. I'm like, I always loved Beast, but now I like him extra more because you're so adorable. So
He's not one.
I know. So I'm super, super sad about that.
Yeah, he's only got one more.
Yeah.
so
He was
sad.
What a
really
lovely
good.
day. Mad Max looks good.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
The set that where I was in South Africa, they filmed Mad Max, so I got to see a lot of the cars at Burning Man. A lot of the cars
just
from Mad
gonna,
Max
like-
were at Burning Man, so I got to like see them in real. Yeah, oh yeah, every time.
There's a Burning Man South Africa?
Yeah, he was at it last week.
I just flew in 12 hours ago.
But
and
then
came here.
while he was in South Africa, he joined the chat room for this webcast here last week.
Sending all the spoilers in. Yeah, right.
Sure.
Way to go, Coy. Way to
And then
go.
I flew in and made it back. But yeah, no, I got to go to Burning Man where the Mad Max cars were just driving around.
that's
They looked like
awesome.
art cars, so it was just like, it was crazy.
I'm not saying it's going to be the best film of the summer, but I saw it the same day of Age of Ultron, and that was really tough. But Mad Max came out on top for me.
Tomorrowland. Excuse me, guys.
Slightly,
No, it's okay.
Slightly,
You've got that tomorrow.
When does Tomorrowland come out?
May 22.
Oh, that is a summer
Yeah, it's
film.
very
It is.
slightly
Yeah.
different vision
President's
of tomorrow.
Day weekend.
Presidents of Tomorrow?
A slightly different vision of tomorrow.
Yeah, the actual hopeful one.
Yeah, the one I would not mind living in.
Wait, Mad Max
You
or
don't know the details
Tomorrowland?
yet, though.
Please, yeah, I don't want to live in
Oh, yeah, right.
But wait, isn't there some sinister overtone to Tomorrowland or something? Like, you can't.
Well, there's gonna be.
So, how do you know you want to live there?
There's a sinister overtone because it's Disney.
But how do you know you want to live there?
But that's, I mean, you have to have, in Utopia, you've got to have that drama for the,
Yeah.
2 hours of
tension.
happiness.
Right, for the entertainment value.
But that's interesting, though, that
I
you
mean,
guys
It's
point...
a Small World is terrifying.
Oh my gosh! As pointed out by the Simpsons episode, where Lisa goes
Just
crazy.
saying Disney.
No, I was just going to say, it was interesting though that you guys pointed out that Mad Max, obviously dystopian. It will be interesting to see how this dystopia versus utopian film does well, and what that will say about what's going on these days.
Is Utopia really utopian, or is Utopia dystopian, and is dystopian really? You know what I mean? Mad Max is back down to survival, and survival of the fittest, yada yada. That's kind of
you are breaking out the reality.
Just saying, man. There's
and the Burning Man reality of living in villages and stuff was very cool.
Burning Man.
I'm still here, man.
Oh, were you
I'm still here, man.
Oh yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Oh wow.
Apocalypse. I'm really curious how they tie in that reality, like with the tone they've set with Bryan Singer's universe, like where it goes. Because the pictures they've released are very like 80s happy mall. I'm really curious what the tone of this is going to be.
Seems like it's all going to go very bad very quickly.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And Wolverine today, they just announced that Hugh
This
Jackman's...
is 3. Yep,
3 is his last thing.
He's not even in Apocalypse?
They said that he didn't confirm he was, so it's really interesting how that...
But it says it's his last thing, so if he's already in it, then he would be, but if he's not, then he...
Isn't.
Yeah.
I guess that's...
Wow, you're just on the existential topics here.
I haven't had much sleep.
Dude, a lot of zen in the car right here.
We're getting deep here. I like it.
So jumping over, it's not real Netflix news, but it would fall under Netflix if it were to ever happen.
Which would be awesome.
Tom Hardy wants to be Punisher.
Yes.
Yes, please give it to him. Just here. Have
Look at the picture.
I am Punisher.
Look at this.
You are going to be punished. You think your punishment is severe?
All about it, dude.
Here's my bother. As a tall person, he's already admitted he's 5'9", he's too short to play Punisher.
Yeah.
So as a tall person, I'm like, don't do that to me! But as
Don't
a
be so
Tom Hardy
heightist, man. Come on.
But as a Tom Hardy fan, he's saying.
But here's the thing, but as a Tom Hardy fan, I'm like, but he would kill it.
Yeah.
I like you just refer to being short as admitting to being 5'9".
Right.
I admit it.
He's like, I'm 5'9", I know the Punisher is tall.
But
so,
Frank Castle, he mentioned like he knew how much
Apple
he
boxes.
knows.
Apple
So, but
boxes.
what I'm saying, but here's the thing, like as a tall actor, I'm like, cool, this is character supposed to be really big, and they're like, how tall are you? I'm like, but the character is like 8 feet tall. I'm only 6'4". How am I too tall to play that character? It's like, come on, guys. And
Tom Cruise, Jack Reacher. How do they do?
Right?
Yeah.
5'7" Tom Cruise playing 6'4" Jack Reacher.
Don't even talk to me. Just don't talk to me about that.
So it's not that I'm offended by smaller people. It's just that.
That's a hashtag. That is a
That's a new one.
hashtag.
Hashtag not offended by smaller people.
Yeah, not. But when when stuff's supposed to be bigger and it's not, and then I'm not working.
Right. Keep.
Just don't worry about that.
Sure.
I hear
Just
you.
don't worry about
No,
that.
it's okay.
I think that he has the pathos to like make Punisher a very approachable. Even if he just cameos in the Netflix shows, if they can't have the time to schedule him, I think I'd rather have him pop into Netflix shows than have him.
I would love to see him just roll into Daredevil and just like in like a little 3-episode arc, just
he takes a shot at Spider-Man and leaves. If I have 30 seconds of Punisher as Tom Hardy, I'm like, that was better than I could have. Like, that's
like the
amazing.
cover from his first appearance.
What if we just had a photo campaign like Deadpool of Tom Hardy as Punisher? I'd be okay with that too.
I would be. Hey, Marvel movie news fans, you should do that. Get on that. Get on that, Merry Marvelites.
I like how he's walked away from Apocalypse and Suicide Squad, but now he's like, it'd be great.
Punisher.
Yeah.
Give me Frank Castle.
He didn't really walk away. When they're scheduling conflicts on both
It was scheduling conflicts, but he still walked away.
Walk away, that's a red.
Couldn't do.
Right, exactly.
But now he's lobbying for, which I appreciate.
Right, he's like, look, I missed that. Give me something.
Please let me do
and he's like, and I can do this, and I'll do this properly, because he would do it properly.
Oh yeah, he'd
do
kill
it so properly. Jumping over to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. real fast. We unfortunately don't really have a lot of time to cover S.H.I.E.L.D. as much as we'd like to, but lucky for you, AfterBuzz, our sister network, does have an in-depth breakdown every week for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all your other favorite shows. You can watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after show by clicking on that link in the video's description to fill all of your Merry Marvelite Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cravings. These guys know their stuff, and so definitely check that out. It's a great show. But real quick, I just wanted to point out that in this week's show, you've got to start watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wait, I haven't seen this week's yet. I just realized I have not watched it.
You haven't?
Oh.
No, but go ahead.
Okay. Are you caught up? Do you watch it every
I've watched
week?
everything except for this week.
They said the I word.
No, they did. I know.
Yeah, they said the I word.
I know. They said Inhumans in this week's episode.
Oh, but I was going in so many places. Like what?
I love you word.
Why was that?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys.
Spoiler alert.
Sub is going down.
Right? Yeah, you kind of.
But no, seriously, like if you're not watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., please start watching it because it really has. I feel like it's redeemed itself from its first.
I'm still
first
a little
half
burnt. I'm still a little burnt. I gotta be honest with you. I'm watching the show.
Yeah.
It's just that original few episodes before the Cap reveal was just
so bad.
It was just I work with these people. I know these people. I love these people, and I wanted to see what I wanted. What these people do, and I feel like I wasn't getting that.
Yeah,
I feel like I wasn't getting what they do, and it was kind of they found out episode 2. Oh wow, that's gonna happen. Yeah, and I just kind of feel like it was kind of it handcuffed them so hard.
It's just spinning its wheels.
Yes, but by the time it actually started, you were just like. So I watch it, and I like it, and I want to love it, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm trying to get myself. I'm talking it up in my head.
I'm with you.
Trying to fall in love with it.
But what I love about it is that they get to do stuff with Coulson.
Yes.
Like where they're like, oh, here's what Operation Theta was, and then you get like a little bit more background on how they need to, Fury did his stuff.
Season 2, they need to stop playing around and just make it Marvel. You know what I mean? Get in there and stop kind of like.
I think that's
it's like a step cousin right now. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, make it.
I think that's a lot to do with ABC. Right. And I think it's a lot to do with Feige trying to keep the Marvel Cinematic Universe
but Daredevil
kind
was
of its
so
own
deep
thing.
Marvel. Like Netflix really embraced it. So I feel like it might be a little Disney ABC.
I think it's more
Netflix
ABC. Yeah.
Well, they need to get over that and let it, let it be what it's going to be.
And hold on, because Agent Carter was completely entrenched in the MCU. I mean, that was
but that wasn't happening concurrently, and it was a past thing, and it was kind of.
But I'm just saying that they can do if they can do it for Agent Carter, they should do it for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's what it needs to be, and then I'd be wholeheartly watching because Daredevil, I took 2 days, it was done. It was incredible.
I at least had this week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on in the background, which at least I didn't actively watch it. That's more than I've had in the past couple of weeks. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Positive.
Yeah.
And let's see. I saw a comment on here that Soups1 says Whedon said Coulson is still dead in the movies. Yes, he is. He is still dead in the movies because the team needed that
something
to sort
avenge.
of like they needed something to avenge.
Otherwise, there's no one to avenge.
But
it's not like anyone else is getting hurt.
But I think that he's.
Shall we call ourselves the City Destroyers?
The City Destroyers.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of damage.
Maybe. Don't wait until the spoiler section of the show.
At least they were trying to save the people.
No. Oh, I'm so with you on that page. No, I'm so with you on that page. Absolutely.
What page? I didn't hear it.
At least they're actually.
At least they're like
Like
acknowledging that
people,
civilians are in danger.
Right.
Yeah.
That is true.
This is something like this bad stuff that's happening because of us.
Oh yeah, we'll
put people in danger.
And we'll get to that. We'll get there. Because I'm so with you. Yes.
So anyway, that's all for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to jump to Marvel. We're going to talk about the Marvel news, and we're going to get to the Age of Ultron stuff. So Captain America, Civil War. Big announcements today for that. So production starts today. They're in Atlanta doing Pinewood Studios there, but then they're moving on to other locations like Germany, Puerto Rico, and Iceland.
Oh my God.
The old Puerto Rican Civil War.
Yeah.
Well, ye old.
The olden days.
It's surprisingly growing up in Miami. It is kind of really like they're very pro becoming part of America and not. So they're actually.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
There's a little bit of real life history for you guys. Dropping the H-bomb. That sounds bad.
No, I think that was the Bikini Atolls. I don't think they dropped the A-bomb on Puerto Rico. H-bomb.
History, not
history, not the hydrogen bomb. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, they released the cast list, which is basically the Avengers minus Thor and Hulk, but plus Paul Rudd as Ant-Man and William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross.
Yes. And that means we finally have the continuity tie-in from Incredible Hulk.
I know, it's the first time. It's the first time we've had that continuity.
In the background. They literally reference it like that thing.
Yeah, the thing that happened.
But then there's another Thunderbolt also on Agents.
No, there's not.
Wait.
You're thinking Talbot.
Talbot!
Yeah. Talbot.
Wow, did I really just do that?
It's cool, man. Thunderbolt and Talbot work all the time together.
And Talbot is the voice of Iron Man in all the cartoons. That actor. Yeah.
Wow,
you can hear it. You can hear it.
and what's his name there? Hobbit.
That's right. Yeah.
The cast is huge. It's Avengers 2.5.
It really is.
No, that's really what it is. This is
it's like
really in the same way that
Affinity War minus
prologue.
Prologue kind of.
In the same way that Batman v Superman is really we're almost the Justice League. It's sort of an Avengers sequel.
About to be some Justice League.
This is
with Dr. Watson.
With
Dr. Watson, yes.
Makes Ant-Man an even weirder place to be in because it's like we went from Avengers to Ant-Man to Avengers again. Like, what's that gonna feel like?
But I'm excited to see like Ant-Man with the Avengers. I think that's really cool.
I'm excited to see him with the Avengers. I'm just worried about seeing him without the Avengers. I'm just worried about that solo Ant-Man movie after all of the spectacle of Avengers leading up to another Avengers. You just have a movie about a little guy.
Or maybe he's been there all along. You just couldn't see him.
We
were speaking running around.
Yeah.
I need that breath though, because I'm kind of like spectacles. I'm kind of like a little.
Yeah.
No.
PTSD, you know, I need the breath of
I definitely have some
like whoa, there's a lot of spectacle happening.
So a lot of people were tweeting at me today.
Spectacle in Ant-Man. Good to know.
A lot of people were tweeting saying that a script leak has already happened with Civil War, which is interesting because if any of it's true, it's gonna shape up very differently from the comics. But I think it's gonna be awesome.
They built the MCU so differently from the comics, so it has to be
which is
its own
fine.
animal.
Which I love.
Of course. I mean, the MCU's
they have a lot more freedom, and it's working great.
And Evans earlier this week said that Civil War is going to jump off into the next Avengers Infinity War, so Cap 3 is kind of going to be the setup for the real battle Infinity War. So
2.5.
It's in comic continuity, that'd be a one shot.
Right,
it's a giant
or an annual.
By the way, this all happened. Carry on.
Carry on.
That's actually really awesome because you think about Civil War in the comic term of how overarching it was, but for it to just be a lead-in for an Infinity War is actually really smart move on their part because they're going to tell.
War huge.
Yeah, it really does.
It's like, hey, there's
Civil War is like a little bit. It's
like there's war, and then there's going to be war.
Yeah.
Infinity.
Right.
12 dresses.
Yes. I have a
27
question.
dresses, whatever
So we have Sherlock as Doctor Strange, and we have Watson now cast. When do we think the fan fiction and fan art is going to come out?
It's already started.
For the crossover?
It's already started, but as soon as they release which character he's going to be, it's really going to get
who do you think he's going to be? Who do you think Freeman's going to be cast as?
We heard a rumor earlier that it's Everett Ross, who was in Black Panther. You were telling me a little bit about Everett.
Christopher Priest made him up, and he was a great character. He was basically a liaison to the Wakandan embassy, who is this, like, mousy guy who always felt out of his element, tried to seem tough, was clearly not tough at all, and it's like as soon as I heard that name, like, oh yeah, Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
The very first panel you ever see of Everett Ross in Black Panther #1 is him without his pants, curled up on a toilet with a gun pointed at a rat.
Yep.
Wow.
Like
that kind of lets you know.
That is Martin. Like, if you can't see Martin Freeman doing it, like, that's gonna. I think Everett Ross is pretty much a big nail on the head for who he's playing. Because he's also a Wakandan expert.
Yeah, I was all about. Well, he becomes
an expert. He becomes a Wakandan expert.
At first,
he went to pick up the Black Panther on the Miata, and it was like 50 people. He was like,
he didn't understand the entourage that comes with the child.
Okay, if we can get a Coming to America spoof scene with that, I'd be very happy.
Oh my god,
that'd be amazing.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
We will go to Queens
after Avengers. Black Panther's going to be incredible. Those scenes.
Cannot wait.
We'll
talk about it.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
And someone on the live stream, I just missed it, but I saw them say that Martin Freeman is going to be an interrogator, according to the Latino Review. Latino Review is the one where I got Everett Ross, and Everett Ross becomes like an interrogator / expert on Wakanda.
Bump his character up, make him a little more serious, and then back him down.
And the rumor's also that he's going to be in Black Panther.
Right.
So,
well, if he's Everett Ross,
he'd have to be. Otherwise,
what's the point of making him Everett Ross?
The rumor is he's also a space alien, and the rumor also.
Who's the space alien?
It's just all the rumors.
It's just all rumors. We just get excited about it. Also, Ant-Man poster was released. I think we've got that. There it is. I like that poster a lot. I think it looks really good.
It looks like a Fantastic Four press photo. Look at everybody looking in the middle distance.
Oh my god!
Look at everyone staring almost at something.
Right.
Well, maybe the same poster company.
I do like that there's a little Ant-Man on top of the Marvel seal.
Yeah, I like that.
And that they're trying to tell you at the top, like, from the studio that brought you Guardians, it's sort of like, it's fun.
Yeah, this was fun. And this is going to be fun too.
But I do think that's an interesting thing to point out, that it's not from the studio that brought you Age of Ultron or the Avengers. It's Guardians.
It's Guardians. Like, they're telling you, like, hey, remember Hooked on a Feeling? Like,
you get hooked on a feeling with this one too.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Feelings everywhere. It's going to be great.
I was actually kind of surprised that Ant-Man wasn't referenced at all in any way in Age of Ultron, because
they knew it was happening.
They know it's coming out. They didn't reference it at all.
Maybe it's in the 3-hour, 15-minute cut.
Yeah,
maybe.
Which I want to see, because that was one of the biggest issues to what we're going to talk about, was how it felt.
So, anyway, that is all the news. Now we're going to get into Age of Ultron talk. If you do not want to listen to the spoilers, this is the time to turn us off. we will say good day to you.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Massive spoiler alert! Massive spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
All right, we get it. All right, okay. Go. Talk. Go. Just go.
I think Iron Man has to die in this movie. I haven't seen it, so I'm sure you guys. But he's got to die. He's got to die.
Let's talk about what should have happened and didn't.
Yeah.
Right? So Spider-Man not showing up. That
so disappointing.
Yeah, but you saw that though. Like, Joss was like, "Wait, what?" He said I already got a picture lock, and then
But no.
In all seriousness, I get it.
Right.
It's that fanboy
I'm
thing.
sorry, I was outside. I was into the realism. You're in fanboy.
Yeah.
Let me step into that. I'm comfortable there.
I also want to see Adam Warlock. I'm just like, where's some of my boys?
Well, the Cocoon.
The Cocoon. We saw the Cocoon. Then we saw the Cocoon hatched. So
but here's the thing.
He's out there somewhere.
It was already a really crowded movie.
Oh yeah, no. In all seriousness, of course, and I would have liked. In all seriousness, I would have liked maybe a minute and a half less Hulk versus Iron Man, a minute and a half less fighting here, and had just a little bit more with some of the character interactions that were happening. Because a lot of that was really good, and then some of it fell a little bit short to me or rushed.
Yeah. That my complaint with Age of Ultron, and I've had to come back and watch it a couple times and reevaluate. It really was we got great Banner, we got great Hawkeye, we got amazing Natasha.
They owed it to Hawkeye, by the way. They really owed it to Hawkeye.
They did. Yeah, he really needed that.
He was owed
but I felt Tony felt really forced, and Tony, RDJ as Tony Stark, is one of my favorite characterizations, and just the way that he made the mistake, screwed the world. He's like, you know what? Without any hesitation, I'm just going to go do this again.
But you got to give a little bit to the strength of the fact that he just came off being PTSD'd, and she gave him a horrific vision, and it's like, it's your fault. And the way Tony is, he's so driven that he's like, I am going to make sure this doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if I keep making mistakes.
And I just wish I could have seen a little bit more of that. That's all. It was
even said how Iron Man got his suit back. It was so thrown together that Iron Man 3, he's like, I don't have a suit anymore.
I thought he already
all of a sudden he's back as Iron Man.
Which is a grand gesture. He made a grand gesture, and then he's like, you know what? It's, I made a gesture.
Yeah.
So let's make
That summarized the whole movie for me. I always felt like they were hinting at something instead of saying something. They're like, Jane Foster can't be here. One line of dialogue. Like this person.
But hey, at least they got mentions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Avengers, a bunch of these characters didn't even mention.
Ultron felt really forced to me. That him having a sense of humor really felt off. There was these amazing dramatic scenes, and he'd make a joke, and I'd be like, one, not funny. Two, felt out of place. It just.
Yeah. So, for me, that was a mix. Some jokes I think landed, and I've always liked it in the comics. Ultron isn't just evil, logical robot. He has a personality.
Right.
Yeah,
he's really angry, and so I thought that was fun. Giving him a bit of a charm. I was actually down with it. I thought it made him creepier. But there were times, and this happens in a lot of movies in general, where it's like, they want to have that joke even if it doesn't make sense for the character to make it in that scene. It didn't just happen with Ultron. There were a couple parts Rhodey made a joke when people were getting on Tony about why he made Ultron in the first place, and Rhodey made a joke. It's like, would you really make a joke right now? Aren't you still worried about the nuclear codes?
let me go back in defense of Ultron. Is that in this film they made him? He is the worst of Tony Stark. He is all the bad jokes, the megalomania, all the things that Tony could be, and
he should have been falling down drunk then.
He should have been.
Right?
I think that's
had a harem of babes around him the entire time, which is also must be in the film, right?
You're gonna love the Ultron.
Ultron's making Jocasta and Alkema over here.
And did you catch the Jocasta reference? That was really cool. But so that's how I viewed Ultron. But it was James Spader playing James Spader, and he does it great. And he does, if you can wrap your head around that, and the way I was able to like Ultron, I was like, oh, this is all the things that we were supposed to hate about Tony, and that worked for me. But but overall, I can say I felt a little bit everywhere was forced.
Yeah. Well, also, and Whedon had said before, because people said, well, wait, at the end of Iron Man 3, he destroyed all his armors and made a show that he was going to focus on being Tony Stark and not on being Iron Man. Yeah. So what happened? And they asked if there was going to be a draft. Said was like, I mean, we're already going into filming and everything. I mean, just assume he didn't blow up all his armors, or he realized he needed to build a couple new ones later or something. And that's which they sort of set up that after S.H.I.E.L.D.'s collapsed, this is why the team has gotten back together. They're doing all these raids on Hydra. So I do wish there had been an extra line of,
Yeah,
come out of retirement.
I just wanted one line. That's what I'm saying.
You're the guy who retired. Like, well, yeah, until you guys would have destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D.
I feel like he made the drones, and then the drones were doing it, and he was like, the drones aren't quite enough. I want to get
But this is
and then S.H.I.E.L.D. fell apart. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's again the fact that we have to like all figure this out and we all have our theories is part of the weakness of that part.
And it could have been addressed in a single line.
Yeah.
I felt like everything was almost put together, but there were so many scenes they had to cut, or the studio made Joss cut, that the whole movie felt like a hodgepodge. Like, especially after Phase
I don't know
2
that the
was so
whole
much
movie
better.
did, but like there were
Cat
portions
2
of it.
was incredible. Guardians was wonky and incredible. Like, Phase 2 was so consistent, and Daredevil set the bar so high that Avengers felt like. Remember, I said Ant-Man felt like a Phase 1 trailer.
Yeah.
Avengers felt more Phase 1 than Phase 2, and Avengers 1 was the culmination of all the best of Phase 1. This didn't feel like the culmination of all the best of Phase 2.
That makes sense.
It kind of pieced together parts of Phase 1 again, and that just wasn't what I wanted in Avengers 2.
Well, but you know, like, it's an impossible task that they're up against, because like Avengers was so good, and now they have to top Avengers. They have to top Avengers in a way that's completely different, otherwise like suffering from the sequel syndrome.
Right.
And they've got to introduce new characters because of the studio mandates and whatever else they're pushing for like Phase 3.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do you...
Well,
it's almost like task, and they did
and that's why Joss walked away. He's like, you know what, you guys
well, and that's just
I'm out.
The problems that are there, because there are, and I enjoyed the movie. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not hating on this. Like, the fact that kids and like my parents will now know who the Vision is really.
I thought I silenced
It's Ultron.
It wasn't me this time, guys. It wasn't me.
We blame Alan when that happens. Alan, get out.
It was going to be me.
Everyone panicked.
But no, I think it's. I mean, this was meant to be a summer blockbuster with a lot of fun heroes doing cool things. We got that. We got kids dressing up now as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. That's freaking amazing. You got the Vision, like, being known to people who aren't major comic book nerds. That's awesome. That being said, the problems are there, like pacing, some character dynamics, and
have that kind of freedom in the studio.
Yeah, no level.
Absolutely
not.
They're like, you're gonna give us what we want. He's like, well, yeah, let me get. And you're gonna give us what we want.
This happens, and you see this in superhero comic books all the time. Like when no one was reading X-Men, Chris Claremont was allowed to do whatever the heck he wanted. Right. So he made this new team with Wolverine and not just him, but like Dave Cockrum and Len Wein, and they all put in like Wolverine and Storm and everyone. And then once it got popular again, Marvel's like, okay, well, we got to take some control over this.
Right. Yeah.
I think that the problem, like, Joss has talked about so many scenes that he wanted to have in there or had in there that he had to cut. Like I love the Thor Vision scene. I thought it was incredible. And a lot of people don't, because I feel like it felt like they just threw it in. But if it didn't feel tacked on, it would have been amazing. Like, it had such ties to Ragnarok, and I feel like that was part of the problem.
And again, that's part of the pacing and part of the setup. Like, you're setting up future movies, but you're not setting up all the stuff that actually happened in this movie.
They were trying to live in the past, the present, and the future, and I think that was its issue.
Yeah, and like, after a lot of these movies, I'll have friends texting me like, oh, so explain to me this person, who this person is in the comics. And in this case, like, someone was asking me, so who's the Vision? And I turn around, who do you think the Vision is? Like, based on this movie, explain to me the Vision. And they really weren't sure how the Vision was created. Is he Jarvis reprogrammed? Is he Ultron, but given Jarvis's voice and stuff like that?
Well, the problem is, obviously with the original Vision, there was no Jarvis computer.
Right,
so,
of course,
it was kind of... so it kind of gets it's muddy because
and that's a different and that's a different thing of just adaptations are always going to change. Right. And I actually think turning Jarvis into an AI as opposed to having Tony be yet another billionaire hero with a sarcastic butler was a really good choice. Yeah.
Well, and I'm one of the things, like, I kind of wish is we could have taken 5 minutes, and maybe we'll get this in the extended cut. 5 more minutes on the Vision. That's all. Like, he was hands down probably my favorite.
There wasn't enough time for there wasn't enough time for the movie.
It wasn't.
That's why I would shorten a couple of the fight scenes, because honestly, like, as fun as
leave the fight scenes alone.
Just a couple, just a little bit. I've seen a lot of Hulk versus Iron Man.
They shorten the fight scenes. Leave the fight scenes alone. Okay.
The scene where they were at the party was the best comic book scene I thought.
And that I want to see more of in general.
And that felt so. That felt like the studio.
Everybody noticed that.
The wheel.
Cap moved the hammer.
Yeah,
he did.
So
Black Widow didn't touch it because they both wielded the hammer in the comics. I love that the
Wait, who is that?
Black Widow didn't touch it because in the comics she's wielded the hammer in that What If, and then Cap did touch it because he's wielded the hammer in the regular comics. I love that they made a nod to such obscure things in the comics. So subtly. And that's what the movie did right. And then that felt like the only time Joss Whedon had control.
There were so many like just subtle, obscure nods. Even Helen Cho.
Amadeus Cho's mom.
Right, Amadeus Cho's mom. Amadeus Cho is a boy genius who's a friend of the Hulk's in the comics.
Do we think that we'll ever see Amadeus Cho in any of the films?
I mean, if we were going to have a Hulk movie, I would say yes. Yeah. But since Universal still has part of the rights to that, I don't know. We might see him like in S.H.I.E.L.D. Like you'll see him for a second, like, oh, one of our experts, Amadeus here.
Was his name on the list? His name wasn't on the list, was it? I read the list on in Cap 2.
I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Did you guys
I didn't hear it.
That we didn't have like the end. The new Avengers scene was amazing, and like Cap setting that up. We all knew, kind of thought it was coming, and they needed it to happen. But we didn't have a single new character there, and we'd already announced Black Panther. We'd already cast Black Panther. I know he wanted Captain Marvel there, and I know he wanted Spider-Man there. But did anybody else find it kind of like a letdown that we didn't have a single new character?
A little bit.
When we could have.
Yeah.
Like I felt like the whole movie was just these peaks and valleys with no higher peak. Like it just never crescendo to a new place.
Yeah. I do find it weird that like we didn't get any of the flashes to the new characters, because I really felt that we could have had Black, and I thought Chadwick,
he's been cast for a long time.
No, I know, but I thought he was on set at some point shooting. I
just couldn't find his suit.
Well, he may have been.
There was the whole scene in the pool.
Yeah.
The whole thing was that the pool might have been in Wakanda.
Oh, but I think they came. I think Joss has even come out, or Feige. Someone came out a couple weeks ago on a news site and said, "Oh no, that we are going to address it. That is not what you think it is. It's just a girl in the pool." So they're at least like, "Hey, we don't want you speculating."
But then
that interview with Joss,
the Joss interview that he did with Empire, he said that was actually a Norn.
Oh,
and that it got cut out.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Because they had, he wanted, we talked about this earlier, he wanted Loki to be in that scene, along with Idris, and having that whole tie into that world of Ragnarok.
That was my biggest problem with the film. Like, ultimately, outside of, like, there just being, like, what is going, like, there's so much going on that I had to go see it a second time, which is not a bad problem, like, especially if you're in the business of making money. It's like,
studio, stop making me repeatedly watch your film.
Darn you. But, like, that was like, one thing that really stood out to me was, why is Thor going to mystical hot tubs? Like, I don't understand. Why?
I love how the whole thing about the movie was there was so much, there was too much, there wasn't enough.
There
was so much, but there wasn't enough, and there was.
And that's a good problem to have. And some people say like, oh, we're going to get the director's cut and all, but I mean, like when I was a kid, like I loved director's cuts, but now like maybe coming at it differently from a writer. And you tell me what you think about this. I feel like sometimes director's cuts are seen as sort of like the Band-Aid to excuse certain things, because the fact is, whatever you're doing, whether you're a TV writer, you're a novelist, whatever, you're given a certain length. It's your job to make it work in that length. Yeah. Now, again, this is not hating on Joss because he was working a studio film. I think some people look at, well, it'll all be explained in the director's cut. I kind of get annoyed by that.
Yeah,
it's like, well, it's got to be explained in this.
I mean, I think it's interesting to say that, because I think what is interesting to point out, at least, is that you've got a huge fan base of people who know the Marvel Universe.
Of course.
And then you've got an entirely huge separate segment of the population who just likes going to movies and don't know anything about the Marvel Universe. So they're trying to, I think, give some of the Marvel fans what they want. There's never going to be enough, obviously. And then they're also trying to make it palatable to a wider audience.
But I'm wondering who was more confused. You know what I mean? Like the people that know the history and therefore are like, that's not quite right. Or the people that don't know the history are like, who is this?
Going on here, Jerry?
Why is he on my screen?
Right, like, there are friends of mine who they know that they've seen a magic stone in a couple of these Marvel films, and they were thinking that it was the same stone, just like being passed around. They didn't realize until here, there are 4 of them, because they haven't been taking notes
While
and looking
we're on
on
that subject
websites.
of the gym, how disappointed are you guys that Vision has to die for Infinity War?
I know.
Does he though?
He has to. It's the
Does he?
Yeah.
Big
I don't
spoiler.
We know that. Well, here's the thing. We know that the Mind Gem was instrumental in him being created, but we don't know that it's instrumental in him existing.
That's true. Maybe he
his
can
power source,
transcend.
much like his sword in the comic.
Yeah.
I mean, but that gave him the, that just gave him the ability.
Well,
to
that
do
gave him life.
Major,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily going to kill him.
I mean, in the MCU, nobody actually dies continuity.
Right. I mean, it's going to do something negative to him, of course.
Right.
Who knows?
I mean, I feel like
it'll probably like decrease his power.
Right.
Like, I feel like they just don't kill people. Like, Quicksilver's gonna be an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. next to Coulson, like, Meredith. Like,
is he drinking a beer? Like,
he's an 80-year-old Irishman in my mind.
But it's comics. You don't kill anybody in comics.
Right.
I mean,
You don't kill anyone in a Joss Whedon
Except for short people, right?
Oh.
Wow, what a brain.
Man about hate.
Wednesday, Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, and Uncle Ben, Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's back.
Yeah, everybody comes
Okay.
back.
People are asking what our favorite joke was from the film.
I think the Hawkeye one where he
almost killed
takes off and he's like,
Yeah.
I could do it.
No one would know.
No one would know. Like, I thought that was really funny.
I loved Hawkeye and Quicksilver's relationship so
Yeah,
I thought
much.
that was great.
And until I guess, spoiler alert, until the end, it killed me because when Quicksilver died, Hawkeye just kind of like languidly passes out, like, I'm just gonna take a nap. And I'm like, I felt...
Well, he named his kid Pietro.
I know, which I thought was awesome. Yeah.
But wait.
Yeah.
Wait, Quicksilver dying.
Felt weird to me.
Wait.
Felt really...
He's running in front of a train, just wiping people back and forth, grabbing people with super speed, moving them way out of the way of this train. But these bullets...
He was tired.
Yep.
From running out of the train.
I was just like, I know somebody had to die, but...
I immediately wondered, and I have no basis to believe this because I haven't been in the discussions, but because Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch have been a gray area between Marvel and Fox,
right.
And Fox used their version of Quicksilver but not Scarlet Witch, and I was wondering if the deal is Marvel can only use Scarlet Witch.
No, I don't think that's...
I don't know. I was wondering if this was a sacrifice that they're not allowed to use him after this movie.
I don't know if they weren't allowed to, but I think because Fox's Quicksilver was so well received,
so good.
I think there might have just been like, maybe we just don't want to even bother.
Which is interesting because I actually preferred this version of Quicksilver as a character because
as a character, certainly,
yeah, because Fox's Quicksilver. I mean, I'm looking at this from a writer standpoint. He's too damn fast. Where he would be a cure-all for so many of their problems.
Yeah, he's a panacea.
Yeah.
And the other thing is he was rebellious for being a rebel. He was a rebel without a cause. He was a smartass, which was entertaining and charming. Whereas this Quicksilver,
not much of a character though. It's kind of a two-dimensional splash.
It's a different kind of character. Like maybe he has other levels. Maybe he loves butterflies. We don't know.
Yeah.
But this version of Quicksilver had trauma. He had a lost parents. He had a sister he was really looking out for, and was someone who could acknowledge, wait, we've gone too far. I wanted to rebel against this person, but you want to endanger other people, which is the whole point I was fighting against.
Yeah, I thought one of my favorite I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick is that, and that was kind of the biggest reason I had with them choosing to kill him off versus Hawkeye, which in the original plan was to kill off Hawkeye, is that we didn't really we got to see Quicksilver as this bad guy and maybe like a hot second of him being a good guy.
He got Hawkeye in this movie.
Yeah,
he got Hawkeye.
From the first movie?
I get it.
No, I got it.
It just like bumped,
I see what you did.
Yeah. It just bummed me out because I really wanted to grow to like this character, and I felt it was a really meaningless death.
One of the first things they said though was about his rapid healing regeneration. They really did make sure they talked about that in the very beginning.
And another thing is they had
back, you know.
They
literally filmed it because I just pictured Disney being like, wait, we gotta make sure we're gonna take it from living.
Well, also they had the cradle. It was right around there. Why can't they just stuck him in the cradle?
Maybe he'll show up in the Inhumans.
He'll show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and just be like, hanging out.
I'm sorry, I'm just real quick.
Where are you?
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Where are you? I was in Bermuda. It's a magical place.
I think that their reason for hating the Avengers was stronger than Ultron's, and that bothered anyone else. Their reason for being bad guys was incredible, whereas Ultron's reason just felt really hackneyed. So therefore, I was rooting for those bad guys, and then Ultron was the big bad, and I was like,
Ultron in some ways was created to hate the Avengers,
but if you think about
strangely,
it, honestly, the only logical solution to humanity is annihilation.
It makes sense.
Starting with the short people.
Starting with the short people.
If you really look at just humanity as a whole, if you're taking it to logic to the nth level, the only logical...
We're a virus for sure.
I agree.
It was logical, but I think we've seen that in every sci-fi movie, so it felt less Marvel important.
Let's talk more about genocide, guys.
I want to ask, what did you guys like about it?
I loved how with really only 2 scenes where he was talking more than a quick remark, the Vision stood out as such a character. You had such this beautiful idea of someone who is almost omnipotent compared to the others, but really innocent and naive, and even makes the joke when he's called naive, like, well, I was born yesterday. It was lovely.
And that was like the only real joke that he had, like, and it was such a good one.
Yeah, and it was so much fun, like, seeing him, like, yes, he's based on Jarvis, but he's not Jarvis. He is a new being who's been born. I thought that was
science
very
and
well.
magic and technology and
beautiful.
I was like, even that he could banter with Thor about like the how Mjolnir was made and just the weight of it and just and even saying like, humanity is doomed and terribly flawed, but a thing isn't beautiful because it's unflawed and not doomed. I was like, this is wonderful. Like I thought that was fantastic. I loved Hawkeye's whole thing because also in the ultimate Marvel version of things where he does have a family, the family was basically put up there so they could die and traumatize, which is fridging.
When I saw Hawkeye's family, I was like, oh, don't.
Yeah, I was like, don't fridge them. Don't fridge them. Don't just bring up well, now it's personal and I really have to stop the bad guy I was going to stop anyway. Like, and I was glad that they didn't. That
they
were actually
protected
just
life. It was great.
Yeah, and that you were able to. And what I loved was how the others reacted to that. Like how Tony was just taken aback that S.H.I.E.L.D. agents could have lives outside of S.H.I.E.L.D., which sort of harkens back to him joking that Phil Coulson doesn't have a first name. His first name is Agent. I love that there were little touches going back to the earlier story, like the Hulk, Banner, and Black Widow talk about kids. Now, I have different feelings about Black Widow's sterilization. I thought that was handled oddly, but
I want to address
that's always a tough one to handle.
I want to address that at some point once you're done.
Well, I understand what the intention was, and that it was about that she had agency taken away from her and she had choice taken away from her. The line does sort of land. It can absolutely be interpreted as I'm less of a woman by being sterilized, or I'm monstrous, which is frankly an issue that some people have been having, where like they're trying to get sterilized and they're being told no, but you don't know anything because you're a woman.
Can I actually? I'm going to come out with something private on this.
Okay.
I cannot have children.
Okay.
I had a really terrible health issue. I cannot have children. I'm pretty much sterilized. When that happened, I felt. For the first time, I actually connected with Black Widow.
Yeah.
And I was like, because, being a, early 30s woman, entering into a relationship, having previous relationships, having been dumped because I couldn't have children, really did make me feel like a monster. And for the first time, I felt like, holy crap, they're tackling a topic that no one outside of me that I've ever spoken with has ever felt this way. And I suddenly saw so much into her, and I loved it. And I totally understand why women who maybe don't actually have that issue might not really relate to it, but to sit there and say like, oh, that's patriarchy making her feel like a monster, it's like, no, when you have that choice taken away from you, it really does make you feel like less of a human.
And I wanted more from her about that. It was brought up and done so quickly,
and maybe there's more.
I think that's why it landed differently for different people, and I think that's why, again, which is, like I said, so many other parts of the movies, I wanted a little more exploration. Even just a couple extra sentences could have made different things more clear.
But I just saw so much rage about Black Widow and Joss because of that particular scene, where I'm like, to me that was the most humanizing scene of her, because I get so tired for female characters that females aren't allowed to be vulnerable and also be strong. Like, it's not about oh, I have my period, I can't fight today, but I'm a woman and I face unique problems that only women will have. You guys, while men might be impotent, it's different because you don't have the programming to carry a child, and to have them deal with her femininity in such a raw way, I've never seen that really tackled.
That's amazing. You got that out of that. It's really
and then also right here, we came at it with different ideas. We're having a discussion about it, which is what the internet needs to learn how to freaking do. Because there were so many people.
You don't just scream over people like I'm doing right now until everybody listens. No, you have to listen to me. I'm right.
I love that we can. I love that we can have this discussion and we can say, look, we saw it from different views, but we also get what each other saw about it, which is what you should be able to do with entertainment, especially when it's about weird people in bizarre costumes fighting each other. But I mean, also what I really liked about that scene on Banner's side was him bringing up kids, because in Avengers 1, when he first meets Black Widow, he makes a remark about what the Hulk has cost him, and he gently touches an empty crib nearby. And it was just this little nod back to that I loved that we went to.
Yeah, it's a little bits like that made me really love the movie so much, and it makes me glad that I'm like, all right, because when I first walked away from it, I was like, I don't know about this, but then I went back and I was like, no, there's a lot of
camaraderie, and actually what we mentioned earlier, the care about civilians and the acknowledgement of damage that will be done even while you are fighting justifiably fighting bad guys
that you created.
But even like the very first scene, he's just like, Strucker doesn't care about civilians. Bring in the drones. Right. Wasn't maybe the best idea to freak people out with robots. And then later those robots turn evil.
But what? Those are living people who are protected by robots. In that case, I'm okay with a little outrage. You'd be mad, but you'll be alive. Robots
exactly.
But it is a good point that like they at least addressed it. Where and I hate to bring up Man of Steel, and I don't want to get hate for it, but like all they really needed was a line from a cop saying, "We've cleared the area. Done." Right.
I loved my version of I loved for this was I loved that they approached all the characters that felt shorted in the last film as the leads, and they interestingly handled the leads as supporting characters, which was also my negative. Robert Downey Jr. felt very out of place, which is a first for me ever in any movie except maybe The Judge, and I really liked that they approached it as a team film from the word go. It didn't feel like this cliche like we have to fight sometimes. Like when they fought, it made sense. And that party scene was like, it's the most I've ever felt like I was watching a comic play out. Every time they changed angles, it looked like a new panel from a comic. Really everyone felt there for a right reason. Stan Lee's cameo is the best it's ever been. That Excelsior line,
and he is a vet.
It was amazing.
And he actually is.
He and Cap's co-creator Jack Kirby.
The movie felt like a love letter to comics in a way I'd never seen handled so well. But the editing felt like the worst editing of important things I'd ever seen. So I was really torn because it was an A script and an A execution of what was on screen, but a D- execution of editing and what was cut, because it felt like you lost half of your heart in watching what we got. Like the Thor section could have been a whole movie, the Vision could have been a whole movie, but because they had to put it all together, it felt like it was just like
and like the Thor thing, like which is like the thorn in my side, was like the thorn in my side. Like they had like 3 or 4 other scenes with Selvig, and like I was like, Thor's like, I've got to go see someone, and he takes off, and then he goes see Selvig. I'm like, oh, he's going to talk physics, and it's like, oh, they're talking mythological stuff
because he's cheaper day rate.
Selvig is an expert in this, I guess, and now they're going to go to a bath and have a vision. They've never done this before. What?
Selvig in the first Thor movie had to look up who Loki was because he vaguely remembered the myth and the fairy tale.
Let's go from a logical point of view, though, right? You're a physicist. All that crazy crap happens. Of course, you're going to go ahead and do your research.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
You're
right.
If I'm a physicist and all of a sudden somebody proves the existence of magic, a god comes and he's like, hey, by the way, I'm going to...
That's a fair point.
I'm going to do a little study now. I'm going to know a few things about Earth that maybe, I didn't know before.
Well,
don't disagree.
Doesn't Thor even go say, I'm going to go see, like, the expert on this to, like, kind of I feel like he said a line.
He says something.
Yeah, that kind of establishes that maybe
But everyone felt like at points everyone felt like they went back to their own movie, which felt really strange. Because Avengers 1, I really think, is the best culmination of 5 different genres. Like that last episode I was on, I was talking about how each Avengers movie separately feels like a different genre, and I love that they did that. Right. This felt less like a perfect mix and felt more like we're in this scene, which is Thor's movie, and this scene, which is Cap's movie, and it felt a little disjointed. But when they were all together, it was the best. It was the best comic movie I've ever seen.
One of the best lines was like when he and Tony are fighting, and he's like, "I want to build a suit of armor around the world. How do you want to fight this?"
Yes,
together. And he's like, "Well, what if we lose? Then we do that together too." It was like that's what this movie is about. That's what this is about. It's the fight over that, It
was so close to
and again, even like the first movie, you had Cap, who kind of reminds us to embrace the absurdity of things, because he's like, so your brother is coming with a big army of space aliens. Okay. And here we have Hawkeye, who's dealing with Scarlet Witch. And Scarlet Witch, I thought, was beautifully handled throughout this thing as someone who's, again, dealing with trauma, who's a powerhouse, but not inherently a warrior. And what I love is that when she's freaking out, Hawkeye basically tells her that that's okay. If you're not a warrior, if you're not doing this, okay, you just got to be honest with me. And he brings up that great, again, embrace absurdity line of like, hey, the city's flying. We're fighting robots. I got arrows.
None of this makes sense.
That was a great line.
Earlier, that was my favorite line.
But again, he acknowledges like you're going through this traumatic experience right now. You're afraid, and if you need to sit out, that is okay. You are not weaker because of this. You are not bad because of this. But if you do come out, you got to bring it. And I thought that was a great speech, a great acknowledgement of her. And then that also makes it, not that Hawkeye has saved her, that does make it her hero, her choice.
Well, and that's, something I loved Scarlet Witch's characterization from beginning to end.
Yeah,
I was so pleased. And I saw some people online saying, like, oh, she's not that weak. She's so strong and prepossessed. I'm like, she's a freaking 16-year-old kid in this.
Right.
Like,
also, she was that weak for, like, the first 15 years
she's
of Avengers.
Really actually fragile.
Opening up for the first time, which was amazing.
She got these powers a year ago, Max.
Maybe you should calm down and let her develop.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about it, is that we get to see Scarlet Witch year one. We get to see her grow into what ultimately destroys the X-Men.
Which we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, but which I don't have to worry about. But
Fox won't worry about
it. But and that was something like I felt Age of Ultron did extremely well, was handling both the twins.
Oh, is Scarlet Witch going to destroy the Inhumans?
House of I.
That would be awesome.
She did have her little Dark Phoenix moment.
Yeah, which was so awesome.
That was so cool. Like when Quicksilver died.
But I worry that we've acknowledged, like, in Avengers 1 that we left out those two characters. In this movie, they focused on those two characters. Like, and the internet's still really upset. I feel like there's no way to please all seven characters. So we really need to appreciate the fact that we got a Hawkeye Scarlet Witch movie that was so good. So thank you, Joss.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
Come back.
Well, there was definitely so much more right with this movie than there was wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Absolutely.
There was too much movie, but there wasn't enough movie. That's really...
It's not a bad
I'd watch a 3.5-hour cut. I'd be so happy.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, the only scene where I thought, like, you made a mistake here, and that's, again, this is a storytelling preference. It's not an obvious mistake or anything, was when he kidnaps... Ultron takes Scarlet Witch and brings her over, basically to be an audience. And it was like, all right,
Black Widow? You mean?
I mean, sorry, Black Widow. I meant, And Black Widow was already, she sort of had a damsel-y moment in Avengers 1, even though she came out of that. And this was sort of a damsel-y moment again. Like, they've kidnapped Black Widow, but what really pushed over the top of you shouldn't have done this to me was I thought it would have been such a better conversation if it had been Captain America captured by Ultron, because you have these two characters who are both meant to be evolved from humanity.
That would be great.
And they're both Frankenstein monsters.
Yeah, there was no reason for it to be Black Widow.
Right. Whereas with Captain America, I could see him saying, like, "Don't you get? I'm the next you. I'm better. I'm the same idea that you were.
And the ultimate
I'm supposed to end war."
Yeah, I would have loved that.
I agree.
I would have loved a conversation about Cap, like, defending humanity while he assaulted humanity.
Exactly.
That would have been amazing.
They're both.
The problem is they don't have a secondary leader that could have been a secondary person that could have been the leader besides Tony, who they didn't want to put in that position.
I would have made Black Widow that person.
That would have worked.
I would have made Black Widow because she's led the Avengers in the comics. And then at the end, she and Cap are the two people who are whipping the Avengers into shape. I think you would have set that up nicely if she had become...
You shot that completely. You were like, really?
I know. He's got this ready.
Do you think they consciously took Tony Stark down a couple pegs because he's going to be more of an antagonist in the second one,
because
they realized...
By the way, we need to start wrapping it up. We're over an hour.
Well,
so just letting you know.
Also, I mean, the whole setup of New Avengers base.
Well, you
know that setting up camps
versus
camp versus Avengers Tower, which will be Tony Stark's camp.
I'm just saying, if Hawkeye died, that means we would have gotten Kate for the new Hawkeye.
Maybe.
That's what I would have wanted.
I would have liked Kate to be the new Hawkeye.
We can still get
Do you think that when Downey Jr. signed, because this was going to be his last movie, do you think that when he signed on to more, they were like, we could give more flavor to other, because I just feel like he was so...
and RDJ's been usually good about making sure his co-hosts or his co-stars get the time, so he might even have chosen to take a step back.
So wait, what's the over-under that he quits after the first Infinity War? Because he's quit the Avengers after every Avengers movie. There's a reoccurring theme of quitting for Tony Stark. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing Avengers anymore. You know, I'm not doing Iron Man anymore. He's like,
not even allowed.
All right, one more. All right, one more.
Okay, all right. Final thoughts.
So, do you have any questions?
Tony Stark did not die. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is a takeaway.
I know.
That is a takeaway.
Based on do you have questions? Like,
no, I mean, it's really interesting, though, because people want to stay away from spoiler alerts and things like that. I am so much more interested in seeing this film now than I was 25 minutes ago, a half hour ago.
Wow.
So,
You're welcome, Marvel.
Did you hear that, Marvel?
What I really need to do is, though, go with like a whole bunch of like comic book.
Oh yeah, you've got to go with nerds.
I'm supposed to see it again this weekend with the Gold people. I'll see it with you, man.
Sweet, man.
All right,
the after dinner.
He's the one who to go see it with.
Yeah,
too. He knows
absolutely.
it all.
And on that note, I should say, go to themarysue.com either today or tomorrow. I've got annotations on the entire film going up there.
Yeah.
Final thought for me.
Final thought for Age of Ultron.
Was that it in the long form might be my favorite Marvel movie, but is it in its short form was like my 6th favorite Marvel movie, and I expected like it to be a higher ranked. And I think that the only reason I didn't like it more was because how good Phase 2 was. Like I think Daredevil and Cap were the best things to happen to Marvel, and this felt a little let down. But the long cut might be amazing. And thanks, Joss.
Overall grade, Coy.
Yeah.
Overall grade B+.
B+. Okay, that's possible. Yeah.
I wish Falcon had been in that last fight scene.
Me too.
That suit, man. That suit was sweet.
That the red wings, the fact that he's looking more like the comic book character now. I wish we had like a Netflix Avengers miniseries just to see this new Avengers team rock out by itself before we immediately throw them into Civil War and Infinity
destroy
War.
them. Yeah.
So and the Thanos ending scene is odd because you've got a different version of the gauntlet,
the whole
and it's not
thing,
Odin's fault. So that's are the two of them now? Was there an earlier gauntlet? Like we don't.
Yeah.
So we'll
there's
find
a right
out.
hand in Odin's vault. He's got a left hand.
I hope someone challenged someone to
There's
honestly
he's got
of all
a pair of gauntlets.
of all the mid-credit scenes you could have, Thanos picking up a glove was not what I would have done.
But it was a fun. Like,
I would have
myself. That was fun.
I would have had like Doctor Strange be like, they don't even know what's happening over here.
I wore my Doctor Strange dying, like getting sucked into the jaws of death shirt on purpose because he was not in the film.
Or like Adam Warlock showing up and being like, this Vision guy seems cool. Just something. The other artificial human who has a gem. Like, you know?
He's got the soul gem that like, hey, our gems can kiss.
Hey, bro.
Hang out.
Did you have a favorite moment you want to talk about, or final thought, something you wish they'd had? Anything?
It's you know what it was. It's Marvel with Cap 2. They really hit the thing of make an excellent genre movie and then stick superhero stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
And the problem with this is there was no base movie, no base genre to base it off of to stick the superhero stuff on top of. That would have been. I mean, it was kind of almost a disaster movie, but there was too much character for it to be a disaster movie because disaster movies are usually short on character. Yeah. So there was really no base film genre to throw the Avengers on top of that will then make you go, oh, that was amazing. Yeah. So they had to kind of step outside.
It's okay.
Messing with their mic. They had to kind of step outside what they've established as their, really, okay, this is where it works and this is where we're going to live. Yeah. You know, so kind of had to step outside that with that. And that's why I think we were so...
Just trying to...
I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, so, you know, because, I mean... Cap 2 is just, you know, and then they Daredevil right there. It was a legal drama where you did some superheroics. Yeah, you know, so as long as you stay into that, even Guardians of the Galaxy, space opera with superheroes, you know, minorly kind of, but you know, but it's that kind of thing of hit the genre hard, throw the superheroes on
the icing of a superhero,
and then you win every time. So
and make it palatable to people who aren't the biggest fans.
Well, exactly. That's the other thing. It shouldn't be made exclusively for the thousands who read comics. It needs to be made for the millions who haven't read comics.
Unfortunately,
I need to go and see it 3 times for it to make sense.
Yes.
Meredith?
You know, like I said, it was a fun movie. I could have done with 5 minutes shaved off of a fight scene here and there, and 5 more Vision minutes, but I love the Vision. Also, I saw someone in the chat room earlier said Ultron's lips. Yes, those are the creepiest things about Ultron. Did not like those lips. You know, but overall,
the lips.
That was the creepiest thing, not the genocide.
No, just the lips.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm used to robot genocide.
I was going to say robot genocide. Robot lips, new and creepy, dude.
What did we not learn from Transformers?
Though I will say a light bulb went off in my head with because we've been trying to figure out if they're going to follow Civil War in the suit of having, you know, how are they going to do without the mutants who blow up the city? What if it's New Avengers who screw up and cause something?
It could just be someone saying, hey, Hulk and Tony kind of messed up the city.
I mean, I think we kind of have that already.
The entire city got ripped out of the planet.
Well, I think there's probably going to be something going on in Ant-Man too that's going to fuel that even more. And a new, I think there might be a new synopsis for Civil War that says,
I mean, I'm guessing
that says it is like there is a bigger event that happens in Civil War.
I thought them pulling up the city was going to be Stanford. I thought that was the situation.
That's what I thought too.
They were going to drop it, then be Stanford, and I was like,
then it didn't.
In any event, there's going to be someone in the government or the UN who says, you know what, Stark and Banner made this robot army by accident. Yeah, they need to answer for that. There
Yeah.
needs to be a committee. Congress needs to talk about what's
And Maria
going on.
Hills was already kind of saying some of that towards the end of the film.
Yeah, exactly. So we're already getting that set up.
Yeah.
And then my last thought was just kind of the CG in the opening scene. It really, I didn't get a chance to touch on how much that bothered me. I loved how everyone fought together and how like wonderful they worked together. But man, that CG it's still. I'm like for the budget on this film, I'm kind of like
It kind of pulls you out of the fight.
it does.
Yeah.
And you don't want to that in the open because you're like, I'm just starting this movie.
Oh.
Wait, Russian cartoon, live action, cartoon, live action. Okay, people are talking.
And I get maybe they're trying to go for a comic book feel, but they haven't done that ever. So
it felt like 2012's Avengers CG, but we've evolved past it.
Yeah. So
still a great movie.
You know what I will say. Hey, I never thought 10 years ago I'd be getting here to both criticize and applaud an Avengers movie on screen.
With Ultron.
And Vision. So,
Vision.
You know, for the flaws this movie could have had, I'm glad we have it, and it makes me even more excited for what's to come out.
So my thoughts were, I'm sick and tired of not having Doctor Strange in the film.
Do you like Doctor Strange?
No. What's that?
Do you like Doctor Strange?
He's my favorite.
I had no idea.
Sick and tired.
First I've heard of this.
Dear Marvel.
Burning Man. No, I was kind of let down by that. Honestly, even though it's like a stupid little thing, I was like, but this is my guy. Why isn't he in it? But I did. There was that one scene where they. It was Stark and Thor and Vision, and they're like Vision is hovering in the air, and the gym is like when they're shooting Ultron. That's when I was like, I'm watching an Avengers movie. Oh my god, that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Because Iron Man's doing his thing, Thor's lighting him up with lightning, and then it's Vision shooting with a mind gem. What am I watching?
That just happened.
Like even in your conception of the Avengers movie, Vision with the mind gem at Ultron was never there.
Yeah.
And I defy anybody to say differently.
And the part where like War Machine's flying around and Iron Man's like, Rhodey, we've got some stragglers. He's like, I'm on it, and he takes off after him, and then the Vision just like very casually flies by shooting him, and he's like, what the?
And Rhodey's new suit being just like the comic, like the classic animation I've ever seen of it. It was like Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit good, but in a good movie.
But like the only time that you saw Vision's phasing really was in that one sequence where he's flying through the air, and he
I saw that. I've heard it wasn't phasing, it was phasing.
No, it was totally phasing.
No, it was totally phasing.
I was like, that wasn't punching.
Oh yeah, that was phasing. Yeah,
it was totally phasing.
Don't take the phasing away from me.
I don't know. The phasing.
Do not take the phasing away from me. I love that the scene where it was like this weird 3D moving around them while they're all fighting around that thing. That was cool.
Yeah.
There was so much right with the film. I couldn't get over the whole
there was
Thor
too much film. There wasn't
thing.
enough film.
The priorities seemed a little off.
Yeah.
I think that's the big takeaway is that the priorities it was Joss wants to do the farmhouse scene with Hawkeye. And
he had to fight for that.
He had to fight for that, and that was some of the best stuff.
That was the heart. That was where this is the heart of the film. Okay, this is where we're coming together.
I think maybe this is some of the biggest weak spots that we've seen with Feige. The first signs of weakness with him, where he's really pushing for Infinity War at the sake of. At the detriment of this one, where he's
was very much
you've got to have the Northstone, you've got to have Infinity stuff, you've got to have the well, and then Joss is holding as the director, he's the holder of the tone and the story, and he's
all
the
plates.
That doesn't make sense, and they're you've got to have it in there.
This should have been a combination of Phase 2 instead of a setup for Infinity War. It shouldn't have been a prequel.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is.
Combination of film instead of a setup for another film.
It should have been.
That's what Avengers is.
It should have been The Empire Strikes Back, not the holiday special.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
All right,
That's damning.
Way over time. We would like to thank Damian and Matthew for being on. Matthew,
for having me.
You've got Tomorrowland. You've got iZombie. When is Tomorrowland coming out?
May 22nd. My first episode of iZombie is, I believe, May 19th.
Oh, that's going to be a solid week for you, man.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And I don't know if anybody is a Soska Sisters fan. They did American Mary. They are doing Vendetta, which is another movie that I'm in.
Oh, cool. Very rad.
So that's coming out pretty soon. Dean Cain, the big show.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
It's a good year for you, man.
It's okay. And I get to be on Marvel Movie News.
That's the best thing.
I mean, that's the highlight of any year.
Yeah, it's the highlight of my week. That's the only pay I get that I get to do it. So thank you for being on the show so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Damian, what have you got going on?
I can't talk about anything. Wait, Payday. I'm still doing a lot of stuff on the Payday video game. I'm the voice and live actor for Chains for most of the stuff. So that I can talk about. And that's all I can talk about. Really.
All right.
I can't.
All right.
I'm going to be going places and shooting things soon. I can't.
You can't
Remember
say.
this moment in the future.
Right, yeah. I'm going to go do something cool that I can't tell you I'm going to do. And there's other cool... Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Right.
Something cool.
Right.
Something's happening.
Something dark side.
Well, we don't have time to do the Wizard World question of the month. We'll do that next week. So if you're listening to the show now and you want to win Wizard World tickets, listen next week. We're gonna have a great question for you.
That one guy that's the reason he's watching. He's like, what? It's like, one guy's like, are you kidding me? I said for 80 minutes and
Alan, do you have anything you want to talk about? You pitched Mary Sue. Is anything else going on?
Not at the moment. I mean, you and I have a project that we're working on, but we can't talk about that quite yet. And
Something else is happening.
Yeah, more stuff is happening.
TheMarySue.com, and you can always find archives of my work at AlanKistler.com, or follow me on Twitter, where I am very active as @SizzlerKistler.
Yeah, Coy?
It's almost to June, July where I can start talking about the stuff I've hinted at forever. I cut the man bun because of that project, so the man bun's gone. It's been a whole Twitter thing I've enjoyed.
No. Thank God the man bun's
I
gone.
know, those just assaulting our fans. And I've been on @Coy Jandreau, and you guys are awesome. I love reading the comments and stuff.
Nice.
Guys, I can be really cool and say I did a thing that I can't talk about yet this morning. So I did a thing, and I'm really happy about the thing. I know, but I've never gotten to do a thing that I can't talk about, so it was neat, and I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to talk about it. But I can talk about a ton of other things on Twitter because all I ever do is talk on Twitter. Alan Placko. I know. I never shut up.
Oh, that reminds me too. I'm at Matthew MacCaull.
And MacCaull is MacCaull.
2 L's.
2 L's.
Two C's, 2 A's, 2 L's.
Spell it again. Spell it out.
Spell it out.
MacCaull.
Boom. All right, we got it.
Thank you.
I am Matt Key at the Matt Key, and we've got everyone else. All right, well, that's our show. Special thanks to our prize sponsor, Wizard World Conventions. They're in Philadelphia this weekend for the big show where they've got David Tennant, Billy Piper, Haley Atwell, a lot of other people. St. Louis from May 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Then they're going to China.
What?
Ooh, that's cool.
Going to China. Brittany doesn't get to go to China. Sorry. But if you are a fan listening in China, Wizard World is coming to you. Then they're back in America for Des Moines, following China with Des Moines, June 12th through 14th. Please don't forget to subscribe to our show on iTunes, Marvel Movie News. Rate us, leave us a comment because it keeps us coming back to you. Same with YouTube through Popcorn Talk Network. Comment, thumb up, keep us coming back. We are on Facebook /Marvel News Show, or find us on Twitter @Marvel News PTN. That's our show. Thank you for joining us.
Feature length.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.